Yeah, hello everybody. My name is, as said, I'm Mikko Kanninen, and I am currently affiliated as a university lecturer in acting at the University of Tampere, and I would like to thank the Theatre Academy and Department of Light and Sound to inviting me here to the main city of Finland from the from the capital, and we are very happy in Tampere that we are now inhabiting the places where your department used to be. We are really happy to be there. And okay, my subject today is the use of telepresence in performer training, actually, and maybe there's something really strange happening here, but I'm trying to cope with it. So use of telepresence in performer training, and maybe in the future more and more with the international interactivity of performing arts as a general. The Coriolanus Online project, which I'm going to tell you now, it began life as a virtual mobility project between Coventry University from UK and the University of Tampere in Finland. This project explored the international cooperation in acting in foreign language within a system that promotes more environmentally sustainable model. We claim so. By eliminating the need to move large groups of students, of actors across the globe for rehearsals, workshops, and even performances. And since we all like to watch TV, I have some videos.
And actually, I was all the time, I was waiting like, hey, they're gonna jump in here through that screen like any moment now, any day, then they're gonna run and end up here.
Because I've done camera work, but this wasn't quite it, because the situation was quite like a theater scene, or we were doing a scene from Coriolanus, and we did it as a theater piece, kind of, but it wasn't camera acting because it was stage acting.
We had a sense of feeling that these English students and teachers were with us here in Tampere during the whole week, but they weren't. And this is I think the main point, that we were really having actual international collaborative workshop on Shakespeare and drama.
Every day something very different was happening. Every day we were learning something. We've just chatted this morning again, and one of the things we said was that we really felt we were only getting to grips with it by the very last day. That we really were only discovering what it could do by the end of the 2-week session.
We get much further than I thought. So, yeah. That was surprising for me anyway. I didn't expect that we could go so far already in 1 week.
Lydia! So we really felt that we met personally, and during the virtual lessons that we were in the same room, and the distance got smaller and smaller. Yeah, I'm repeating myself.
So this project began as an OIL project in acting in a foreign language, which was online international learning, which we got extra funding from UK. And since 1995, the degree program of acting in the University of Tampere has studied and researched acting in foreign language as a method of developing speech and acting. This special technique improves articulation and voice projection, adding energy to the act of speaking. It can also help to break away from some habitual ways of using the body by enhancing the body awareness. Coventry University has also been interested in embedding online international learning in its each degree programs. So for this project, we needed a piece of theater that was challenging to both groups of students, and as it was the 400th anniversary of Shakespeare's death, the challenges of working in an archaic and very formal language that even English-speaking actors found difficult seemed to offer a level of playing some kind of challenge. And like it was said that if we develop interactivity, we need to have some common ground. So we couldn't start like with the two completely stranger groups to each other with something like, what are we going to do? So if we took Shakespeare's play Coriolanus, we had a common ground like immediately, and we could start working with that. So we both universities recognize the need for international academic and artistic exchange. And international workshops can help students broaden their horizons, permit discipline-based academic theories to be contrasted with practice, and in addition, enable students to have greater confidence in assessing how theater is created and studied in other countries and cultures. But this often involves flying, and which we all know is not a sustainable model anymore. To make this kind of international theater workshop work smoothly online, we found out that there were already multiple apps on the market that we could use. We had a closed Facebook group, which worked as our timetable manager, and a social app. And so Skype was a perfect tool for actors to rehearse their lines. And Adobe Connect provided us with online conference rooms for mass lectures, group meetings, and staff-supervised rehearsals. So what we found out very soon that with every kind of task in a real world requires a specific app also in an online workshop. So there's just not one method that works. But what didn't exist was an application for large group work, like rehearsing a scene from a play or having a morning dance or singing lesson. Existing apps missed the good human-sized projections with at least the illusion of an eye contact. And most of all, we were missing the illusion of shared unified space. So we started to research one. And we were inspired by an art installation extract insert, which used the virtual world of Second Life to extract real participants from an art gallery and to insert them into online world, which they were able to interact with avatars manipulated by users across the globe. We believe that this setup of this installation and the arrangement of the space could be reconfigured to work with the real-life participants. So we were working with video conferencing and rear projection. And we were trying to have the illusion of a unified space, which first looked a little bit like this. This is my first draft. It's not. This is my first idea of a room which is divided between two countries, and this is the picture I sent for the whole group that this is something we are going to build. So we started to kind of experimenting with the H323 video conferencing technology, and this was repurposed to operate in conjunction conjunction with the large-scale real projections in both spaces. So telepresence rehearsal room was created utilizing a unified spatial design mirrored both in Tampere and Coventry, with careful use of lighting and directional sound. Sound became the most important factor in this, because you need to have a really strict sound space that moves with the actor. Because the actor can really build an illusion by himself if he has the correct sound, and then the kind of space develops. Oh, it goes automatic. There's some kind of automation going on here. But so we fine-tune the space, the cameras and projectors in both spaces, and at the end of it all, it allowed the participants to have an eye and sound contact, which kind of created the space for them. So our studies, we found out that if the actor has some kind of eye contact and the illusion of sound with the whole body projection, he at some point he starts to believe in it. And this is particularly important in performance work. And the course occurred in 2-week period, with the first one devoted to setting up and fine-tuning the equipment, as well as contextual lectures delivered using by Adobe Connect. So the first week, students were on online lectures, rehearsing their Shakespearean lines and getting to know each other in a closed Facebook group. During the second week, the students were split into 6 international groups, and each group had their own video conferencing room in Adobe Connect, where they could rehearse, chat, and interact with the tutors. And in the main rehearsal room, each day began with all group workshops, and this was really an opportunity to bring the students together and experiment with the technology. Could we sing together? Could we rehearse Finnish folk dances and play kind of traditional theater games together? And the rest of the day was spent on the scenes of the Shakespeare. At the end of the all, we were really astonished how the whole thing worked. It was quite amazing that we didn't actually meet with each other at all, but we really formed a community together. Students forgot the technology quite fast, which is kind of fresh result with this kind of technology. Because the problem with online learning is, which all the universities in the world emphasize, we should have more online learning because it's cheap and it can involve more students and so on. But the problem with this is that students don't attach to their studies. So they don't feel like they are in the university. Students are really, they really need the experience when they walk into VES or walk into Teak Hall, that I'm here. And it really helps them to attach to the studies. So this kind of experiment is really hard to get online. But it really worked on this one, because at the end of the day, students were going to bars together online. They were different bars in the UK, and some were at home drinking beer, and they were in these conference rooms. And they really developed a community. And we have lots of research data on this subject, which I will present later. But the impact was really widespread. We hosted workshops on telepresence in the arts in UK, where we were able to share our work with the colleagues and technologists working on similar areas. And these workshops took place in Coventry University Disruptive Media Lab. And we won the Arts and Humanities Awards at the Reimagine Education in Pennsylvania, Penn State University last year, which is kind of the Oscars of art pedagogy. And then we had the King Lear Online workshop, which was that we rehearsed the whole King Lear play online, and we gave a performance of it in Telakka, Tampere. And so we are continuing to exploring these methods. We try to reduce the latency of the network connection, improve the image to 4K resolution, and because University of Tampere is really investing in heavily on fiber optics and Nimbra networks, which kind of give us more opportunity in the so we can work in the performances as well. And to the where here and this. And when the Tommy says it's time, when there's all stop.
Because as an acting student, I really want to work internationally. It somehow it has this very like mystical sense over it that it's really difficult to go
Abroad.
yeah, and work with people you have never met, and like where do you even find them?
Yeah.
So really, this was a great way to bring people from other countries together in the same room, really, and open up new possibilities for future projects. I feel like this is very beneficial for us thinking about the future. Now we have all these new people in our lives who live in another country.
In the end, I was really surprised how immersive it could be to act out the scene just with this screen as the connector. Getting a Shakespeare lecture straight from England has a small extra spark to it compared to getting it from a Finnish expert here. And getting to know people from abroad, I think that was made quite easy, and that happened quite naturally, and like having this feeling of a group. That was really great.
Hey, so how is the delay?
Hey, it's not good. So, ready?
Yeah.
You want to come?
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yep. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. We think that's just over a second.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah. Quite a lot. Yeah.
Laughing at me because I'm coming closer. I just want to see you.
So I can do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. This is how it's done.
This is going to be a really odd experience for you. I've done this last year, so this is.
So what we are now this year doing, we have workshops with artists in Miami and in Hong Kong. So now we are researching the long distance connections, which next thing we have to fight with is the speed of light, because when you have a connection to America, there's gonna be latency even with the speed of light. So next thing we want to have is a quanti-computer, so everything happens in the universe at the same time. So this is what we're doing next year, actually. Yeah. But I want to show you still the. I have my last slide, which is there, and I'm sorry about the website in Tampere University, but t7.utah.fi, it's enough. You find the project there. And Coventry, our research, the Coventry site they're quite similar for this project. Yeah. So now.
Okay. Question. How did you hold the performance in Telakka? Were there live actors, or was it completely on screens? Or
oh, I'm sorry. No. We rehearsed the whole play online.
Okay.
And but the English students flew to Tampere.
Okay.
To perform it.
Okay.
So we didn't have any live rehearsing, but we had a live. So this was something we experiment with to so the emphasis is that so the international theater companies could rehearse together, and so that would minimize flying and everything. So they could just maybe perform together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was that?
It was great. We didn't have any problems. We didn't encounter any problems because actor is a strange kind of animal. It can actor. I'm originally trained actor, so I think that an actor can adapt to different kind of situations quite fast, and that's actor's main trait. That he sees the game, he sees what are the rules, and then he jumps on it, and so it was really easy.
Could I say actor and audience, they are both quite unique animals and weird, since Riksteatern in Sweden, they did a lot of research on the virtual presence of audience, and they realized, I suppose it's the same thing here, that it's much more, or it's easier for one to believe on being on site when you have some other people with you supporting your illusion. So with actors or with audience, they realized that when they were trying to stream and or make a play with single audience in remote places, they were just like watching telly instead of believing to be in the same space.
We were with the Riksteatern with this experiment where I think you're talking about that, where we had audience in 3 countries at the same time. So one audience in Tampere, and I could see the Swedish and Norwegian audience, and we could interact with them alongside watching the performers in 3 countries at the same time. There was one performer in Tampere and one in Norway, and the whole thing was stitched in Riksteatern. Yeah, and that's the experiment that it is very possible for the audience as well to believe that they are forming a community online. Yeah.
In that experiment, did the audience saw each other?
Yes.
In a different.
So we had a curved podium, and there was the Finnish side in the middle of was Sweden, and then there was a Norwegian. So there was screens we could see, and the audience was like curved like this.
And another question about that, rehearsing and then going straight to the performance. You didn't have a run-through before the performance on the.
We had a technical run-through.
Yeah. So I was thinking also exits is the question.
Yeah, because then the physical, where do I come? Because it's a strange theater. Where is the dressing room?
Everything is well as long as you're on the stage, but
but we didn't have an actual rehearse, but because everybody knows.
The Joris had a question.
Thanks, Mikko. It's very interesting. I'd love to volunteer doing some streaming from Holland. But I was curious, can you tell a little bit more about the result of, or the consequence of the camera not seeing the full space? Because I see there's like markings on the floor where you were sort of like visible or not visible. And I once saw a presentation of Kim Fix, who did a lot of telepresence in performance rehearsals, and she really played with this border where you can or cannot see each other. So I was curious whether you played with that as well, or whether the actors felt they were somehow in this volume through the camera being restricted or not. So I'm just curious.
The markings on the floor were not for the camera; they were for the mics.
Right.
They were because we had we soon found out that the sound was more important. And that's because we want the sound to move. So there was different markings. Than in this space, the sound is on the left, and actors could. And here on this one, it's a stereo and you're like a main character giving a speech, and from here you can give. So that was for the sound. Because soon the students start to experiment with the camera, and you could really find out, like in King Lear, you could really play out with something that you are bigger or you're smaller. You could really play out with because we thought the Globe Theatre is about that too. There was a big difference in Globe Theatre if you come to the forward, giving something to the audience that it's a rainy night, and then you come back and do something else. So that was more with the camera, became more theatrical, and spacing was more like for the sound. Yeah.
And then there was with William was. Yeah, just like kind of a technical question. When you were rehearsing, how did you think about the audience, or did you think about it at all? In what direction is the audience there?
No, this was for, we tried to simulate, we didn't think an audience at all, because we were simulating the training, the rehearsals, when actors start to rehearse the play like this, and so we didn't rehearse any how to front out. Because this Shakespeare was a perfect solution for this, because you don't have to think about the setting, because the setting is kind of embedded in it. If you take the way that it's written. Of course, you can play with Shakespeare. You can do anything with it. What we took for granted that this is the Globe. This is the So everybody knew. So we in Telakka, where we performed the King Lear, we made the setting as for Globe. So,
Kimmo and then Jonas.
They probably had another TV or something to see themselves in order to be able to judge am I big or small?
No.
Just by imagination or experience with others.
Yeah, there was a picture on the picture if you wanted it, but we mostly kept it away because that it kind of distracted the illusion of unified space, which we mostly wanted to have so they could have the body work together. So, yeah.
And Jonas.
Another question about the sound. You all kind of answered already, but when you have like two ambience mics, well, they were directional, but anyways, and then you have the speakers in the space. You kind of have a kind of double acoustics there. Did you make some acoustical treatment for the spaces, or did you find that a problem?
We tried to reduce the ambience as little as possible. So the speakers were like behind the screen, so the speakers were coming from the picture. So we tried to emphasize the voice of an actor, not the space. So we tried to reduce all the ambience. So we tried to follow the voice of an actor, how the voice of an actor moves, like that. So that was mainly our goal, to emphasize the training part of it. Yeah.
But did you use the mics were at the same position, or was someone like actively miking?
No, mics were in the same positions because we tried to build the space for that. Yes, but it needed. What it needed was that there was it needed the mixer, sound mixer at the both ends. So you could really have to follow that, which end is more talking and which end is more listening. Yes, you have to do that. It's like a live gig.
Okay, so it wasn't just like mics on and straight.
It works like that, but the experience for the actor becomes better if there's some adjusting going on all the time. Yeah.
Sana?
That was actually my question also, because I saw in the picture, in the film, that there was a guy sitting behind that black...
That's me.
with the headphones
on.
So you were doing the mixing thing? Or
yes.
That was a sound mixing unit there, was it? Yeah. So you were also mixing the kind of the rehearsing of the scene, so that you would have the main character, or... Yeah,
and that's because, no, that's to do with, because we did this with video conferencing hardware, which is not designed for this kind of work. So we have to tweak it, and it's really bad. Don't do it, because you have to use fiber optics and Nimbra networks to have it work really good. We used video conferencing for this because that was our sponsor. They paid all the bills, the video conferencing company from UK, And that's because they have automatic adjustment for sound for conferencing, and then you kind of have all kinds of echoes and delays and all things going on which you don't understand because the machine is doing something automatically. So that's why you need to have a mixer there, because you have to jump over the machine which kind of thinks it works perfectly, which it doesn't.
And another another question about, because in the big stages you have these kind of sound tracking systems, where actor has this. So could you use that kind of technology in connection with this, so that
yes.
But did you try it already?
No, because for the first the Coriolanus project, we didn't have any extra money. We didn't have anything, so we had to scrap out everything from the university, and we had the teleconferencing equipment from the rector's office, because it's in the rector's office, and she didn't need it for 2 weeks. So can we have it? And so, because this was done just with the basic financing and from the teachers' backbones. Yeah. Yes, but that is something to experiment with an infra network, where you can have a full quality sound with the many 10 channels going on, and we have this Finnish theater. We are going to do this choir theater piece with Pennsylvania Theater together, which we're going to rehearse online, and there we're gonna experiment with that. Yeah.
So that each actor would have this tracking device. Yeah, that's interesting.
Tapio, then Jonas.
Actually, all my questions were already asked.
One thing, of course, the problem in that method is that you're acting with a mirror, basically. Mm-hmm. So you have 2 dimensions only. You cannot go to the other team and so on. Yeah. But the Royal National Opera, they are doing full virtual scenery at the moment. Well, the problem with that is that everybody, a set designer in Australia says, of course I want to fly to London because London is hip. I don't want to do any virtual reality. But did the students, did they complain about this, that they are still separated, that they have one dimension that they cannot use? Or was it an issue at all?
No, it wasn't an issue at all, because I think the actors are quite these kind of animals that you say that, okay, now we are doing this small black room, but next week we are on a big stage where we have the costumes and everything, and a lot of people are coming to see you, and they are like, oh yes, yes, and then you can pretend. It was all about pretending and accepting the circumstances in a Stanislavskian way.
I would like to just tell you that at Sibelius Academy we are doing weekly this video thing for musicians, singers, and of course it's nothing compared to this. This is remarkable, but it's sort of working really nicely, and we have like audience in both theaters or whatever, and the teacher, and they have eye contact and they have close. It's really intensive teaching, and so I'm not personally working with the technique. I'm just putting the lights, but there is at Sibelius Academy 2 or 3 persons who would be really interested about your case.
Telepresence technology has been developed in music learning years before anything else. Especially like LoLa equipment, low latency has been really, it's a system that it's really developed only for teaching music online. And it works wonderfully, but it works only on that. And so the music teaching has been really ahead of us all in this. And I have just one case which I think was remarkable, was this online orchestra developed in southern Britain, in these islands. There's this, corner of Wales, there's these tens of islands which have a common music academy, and they all live in islands, and they wanted to perform together online. And the networking connections are really, really bad. They are like below 3G together. So they developed this system which requires their own notation for this system, that all musicians are 2 bars behind all the time where the audience is, and the conductor is the only one who knows that everybody is 2 bars behind, and the music comes in a same millisecond to the audience, but there's like 20, 30 people playing from home. But it has to be that the notation has to be done for that exact piece and system. So the musicians have been ahead of us theater people a long time ago with this, because there's some kind of precision and jazz musicians have been experimenting a lot with this, because they don't care about the delay, it's all free. So
and what type, if you did get any feedback about acting from the students about this acting for the 2-dimensional screen? Did they find anything, something that was changing in their behavior of acting?
this is a subject you're touching, that we have a huge research material that hasn't been yet scrounged. We have the Department of Pedagogy. We have interviewed all 50 students 4 times a day for 2 weeks. So we have this much of data about their experiment, but it's on. We haven't really digged through the whole material, but we must have an article ready for it in March, and so the research material about the experience of the students. It's just coming, so I don't know yet, but my feeling is that the illusion strengthens every day, and when we had the last day and the students were that this is going to end now, and everybody was like, don't turn off the equipment, it's like life support, and everybody was crying that no, don't break this. So it develops. The first days are like, this is weird and I don't believe this, and after 2 weeks it's like we've always been here. This is just my feeling before the research results.
Something to the internet that we can all read about it.
Yeah.
How do you go to a bar online?
Adobe Connect is the way. Adobe Connect rooms. So you have a conference room where you can have like 10, 15 people mobile or home or any kind of, so it doesn't require, so it can adapt to different kind of net connections. And then you can have everybody like in different places in the conference room. Adobe Connect is
But how you are in the bar? Are you in the bar like this? Or?
No, you can put it on the table. Or yeah, and at home you can be on your sofa drinking beer with your TV on if you have like Xbox or something like that.
Just a quick note, I did on 80s only with sound, but I think this gives possibility when you have multiple audiences and possibly even multiple sources.
Yeah.
You could manipulate audience a lot, giving partial audience something feed that is completely different than the rest of the audience hears or sees. And the audience interaction will be weird when somebody is suddenly crying and others are laughing. I watch a lot other audience members. So manipulating that when we are in separate spaces or virtuals, that's interesting.
Virtual is something, this is telepresence.
Yes, but...
Yes, and the virtual, I think, follow this, because we have now equipment that we can actually be live at 8K for virtual. We have cameras for 8K, so if it's 4K for both eyes, and we can put it stream. And if you could work with that equipment a lot, then you can have these experiences more and more if the both ends are really working. So now we are really trying to work on the virtual side too, because now we have the equipment for that.
Okay. If there are not any more questions, thank you, Mikko.
Thank you.
Wonderful experiment.